Okay. Okay, babe. So if you're here, definitely put in the chat like where you are and what you're most excited about hearing our authoress, Miss Tate, talk about today. And who you are and your pronouns and all the things. Put that into the chat real quick. Okay. So yeah, let's get into the introductions. I'm Gillette, pronounce she they. I'm a multidisciplinary artist and I'm going to be the interviewer today. And now we're going to get into our authoress. Okay, right? So Miss Tate, who is currently residing in Louisiana but was born and raised in the civil rights city known as Montgomery, Alabama. Is a Black queer romance writer, certified sleep coach, and a grad student studying holistic social work at Western New Mexico University. She is passionate about writing stories that center Black women, sisterhood, spirituality, and romance. And Ms. Tay also enjoys providing sleep health, burnout support, and relaxation care resources to women and LGBTQ plus communities. And you're more than welcome to visit her website to learn about her wellness services at www.thefeminitegardens.com. And don't worry if you didn't catch all of that, because I'm going to pop it into the chat. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So without further ado, I'm going to turn it on over to you to get into this poem.
Yes. So first, thank y'all all for coming. Thank you for the folks that's also listening. The first poem I'm gonna do is called Iridescent. I do this at every event that I go to because it highlights Black queer elders, Black queer history, and we gotta honor the folks who came before us so we can do great things presently. Okay? Iridescent. Since the ancient Egyptian times, we have flourished on this earth and called it mine, and live brilliantly outside the lines. Although we have been kicked out of churches, forgotten in history, silenced in politics, outcast in society, still, like the luminous sun, we rise. My LGBTQ community, my beloved brothers, sisters, and siblings, Black, white, tall, short, skinny, and thick. Take pride in yourselves. Hold your heads high. We are the diamonds in the sky. You're not a mistake, a defect, a sinner, or confused. You're amazingly designed and beautifully divine. Let's never forget the trailblazers that came before us. James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Nikki Giovanni, Francis Thompson, Bayard Rustin, Alvin Ailey, Marsha P. Johnson, Krista LaBeija, Elin Harris, Sylvester, Richmond Barthay, Wilmar Barnett, Jackie Shane, Octavia St. Laurent, and many more of our ancestors. We are artistic and imaginative, from architecture to hair, from literature to fashion, from dance to medicine. We are human. We are the people. We are a community. We are citizens. We are the colors and shades of liberty that defines America. Iridescent. Whew. Every time I do that poem, honey, get to me. I love it. I love it. Thank
I
y'all
was
for
following
listening.
on in a book. Oh, you can't really see, but I was following in the book, and I just was like, okay, now you completely rewritten how I'm gonna hear it when I read it next time. So I'm just like super pumped about it. Now I get to have like your voice in my head, which is just really beautiful. I love the cadence, I love the vibe. So yes, thank you for, giving us that
Always,
on
always. People say
Tuesday
that too.
evening. Okay.
Let's get into it, honeys. I'm
Yes.
ready.
Yes. Let's go ahead and get into this first question. Okay. Okay. So, what initially sparked the idea for Golden Moon? And did Golden Moon begin with, or either of the stories begin with the characters, the erotic elements, or the spiritual framework in which you built this beautiful work of art upon?
I would love to say the erotica came first, but it didn't. It came later on. Two things was important to me that I needed to do. First was release my collection of body of work. I've been doing writing since a teenager. So I wanted to cut all my works together and release it. And also I remember it was like the 100 years of Harlem Renaissance, the Black queer art history. So I got to drop something to honor this season. Harlem Renaissance was 1920s. We're now in 2020s. And I said, it's time to resurrect some art that's rooted in Black queer folks, and give our elders who did that work back then the honor that they need as well. To pass the baton to me and all the other folks right now who's also publishing Black queer work. Um, in the new millennium. And so the first story I remember writing was Vibrant when I was living in DC. And the people love Vibrant. It's rooted in sisterhood, it's rooted in Black queer friendships. And so when I was in DC, that was my first story, my early 20s. Um, and then I finished writing this story called When Love Continues, which is a Black spiritual romance. And once I finished that story, I was like, okay, we got a book. We got a book. I need to collect all my stories, all my things. And I kept writing. I realized I had more to say. I wasn't ready to publish. And so I had more works to do. And I said, we put it all in a collection. So that's kind of what happened. And then I said, I can't do a book without having erotica. I can't have a book without having some steamy sex scenes. So we added it in there too, and I felt more complete. I felt more um, finished. So yeah.
Okay, you talked about what is my, it's one of my favorites. You talked about When Love Continues. And I
Mm-hmm.
just, can you tell me more about When Love Continues and kind of like what sparked the idea for that specific story? Because you said when you worked on that one, you're like, oh, we got a book. So what made you be like, oh, we got a book?
Yeah. So fun fact, I actually was going to do a story when love continues by itself. I feel like it was so full of energy and full of spirituality. So the story is about a Black woman who is a reincarnated woman. She has lived many lifetimes. And in each lifetime, she has this beautiful Black man that comes and goes. That's all we're going to say. We're going to say comes and goes. Um, and it's rooted in Black women being a widow, what we should do when we love someone that is on the other side in the spiritual realm. And I add a little African spirituality in there, how we as widows, hopefully I'm not no widow right now, but like if anything happens, we're gonna know about that. But how in history, African widows have communicated to their husbands, even queer women as well, to their partners. And so I added that element. I think it's important that we talk about the folks who fall in love and somehow divinity takes one of us home and what we can do to communicate and the spirit still continues. They still want to check in on you and things on the other side. So I had to put that in a romance story. And so that's kind of what that's all about. Um, and baby, the people like that story. I've been getting good vibes from it and good reviews.
Yes, I really love this story. I really love that story. I think that kind of takes us into the next question then.
Okay.
Um, what aspects of queer intimacy did you want to center or challenge in Golden Moon?
Queer intimacy. Okay. I deeply wanted a passionate and explicit sex scene that's for Black queer folks to like and enjoy. I said I can't do a book without a nice, nasty sex scene. I just feel like it's part of who I am, so we got to put it in writing. And so for me, also, I wanted to make sure representation was rooted in that as well. I wanted Black queer women who was in committed loving relationships. I wanted to make sure that Black trans women, in specifically, who was reading the story, was actually in love, receiving care, getting cherished. We don't oftentimes see that, so I had to make sure if I'm going to make it sexy, let's make sure it's also rooted in some type of love here. Um, and I think for me, one of the things that I really enjoy too is like getting a response from folks when they read the sex scenes and what happens with them. Like, oh, girl, you took me there. And I love that we celebrate diverse bodies in the work. And I think sexuality does that as well if you tap into the erotica. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I was at. I'm trying to remember which story this was. Let me look back. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I see the title. Which story was it? Really?
That's
No, it was Cat Eyes on Lincoln Drive.
yes.
Girl, not me at the bar. Trying to keep my breathing normal. Trying to like, ooh, it was a lot.
Yes, I'm at the bar. I had to get a little drink
Why
while you
is
was
it?
there.
Wait, wait. I'm not in border. I'm bought up in here. Yeah, you did it, girl. You did that one. Okay,
Yes. I remember
so
you calling me too. He's like, girl, wait a minute.
yes,
I'm in public reading this book.
yes. Because I was like, let me try to do something to distract myself. Like I'm reading on. It's embarrassing. Okay. Yeah. So, very, very
Yes,
good.
yes.
So
Girl, listen, you ain't the only one. I'm telling you, honey. It takes people there.
I'm knowing. Because if you got me, I'm knowing you got boo people because I be chilling.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So,
I did my job.
and did, and did. So let's see. Ethical eroticism. What does this term mean to you? Because I feel like you hold a very like delicate place in the book. I feel like you take a lot of risks and I feel like you do it in such a like intentional way. What does this term mean to you and how is it reflected in your choices throughout the different stories?
Yeah. For me, sexuality has to be rooted in Black queer folks, particularly Black queer women. And so I wanted to make sure the sex scenes were tasteful and shows our humanity and our softness. You know, in the lesbian sex scenes, I made sure too that it was someone that was giving mask and film. We don't oftentimes see that. And also in the trans sex stories, I made sure that it was rooted in more making love than just fucking. I think in porn we see that a lot. We see trans women oftentimes in rough sex and domination. And I think it's okay to see also some diversity in some ways of like softness, receiving care, being treasured like a diamond. And so I made sure that was written in the work to just give us a fullness of who Black women are, you know. And so I think that's my ethical eroticism that I bring, that touch of warmth, um, sexiness, but also like we're humans in this, so let's treat each other with care. So yeah, yeah.
Thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense. And I definitely feel like that was reflected throughout the different stories. Yeah. And like all the pros that you use, it definitely like hit. Going back to kind of what you talked about in the first question, when you talked about the spirituality, being, heavily undergirding each and every story, especially my favorite one. Well, all of them actually, like I'm about to say my favorite one, like literally every single story, right? So that,
Oh,
yes. So like what spiritual traditions or cosmologies or ancestral practices inform the spiritual aspects of Golden Moon?
yeah. So in Golden Moon, one of the stories that is rooted in what you're talking about right now is Treasures of Matriarch. The hit of the book, as folks like to say. It's African spirituality and African traditional religions. There's a lot of references and elements there. In this story, I make sure that we're honoring the Orishas. the deities of African spirituality. We're honoring the lands and the water in that story. Um, the lead character is the African trans woman who is part of royalty, and they are a matriarchal society. So we honor also African women being matriarchs and leaders of the African island. So not only she's a leader in this particular island, all women are centering leadership in their life in some form or fashion. Um, we also, in that story, which is part of African ancestral practices, is honoring our elders. There is an elder in that story who was a survivor, a Black woman who was a survivor of the Tulsa Massacre. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is, the burning of Black Wall Street. So she was a survivor in the story, and she's an elder, one of the oldest women on that island. Um, and also, that story has a lot of Black values and Black culture in the book as well. So you'll see some references from R&B. You'll see some references from different things that we value as Black folks in that story. And so all of that goes together, and I just feel like it was really woven and good. So yeah.
Yes, yes. Definitely, definitely the hit. Definitely the hit. Like, it's just okay. You definitely put it in the
Yeah.
right place in the book. Um, okay, so with that, I think we're going into our next poem.
Yes, yes. So speaking of honoring women and honoring our elders, right? I did a poem called Women of My Kind. In this poem, I make sure I do this also when there's a room full of women to make sure we honor what we have, all the things, and our majesty. So let's do it now. Women of my kind, women of my kind, women of my kind, women of my kind. We are so divine. Women of my kind have hair that can be afros, straight, curly, braids, locks that ought to be celebrated in every room. Women of my kind have noses that's full, wide, round, small, slender, of the color brown, black, and other glorious hues. Women of my kind have experienced days, nights, months, and seasons of the sweetest and saddest of human emotions. Women of my kind have often felt the highest of pleasure, the deepest of intimacy at night, yet the deafest of silence and the swiftest abandonment in the morning. Women of my kind are too familiar with loving, supporting, and celebrating with sisters and brothers one day just to hear their eulogies and witness their visuals tomorrow. Women of my kind have always known we've been right there on the front lines in the center of activism movements, yet the streets and mainstream media keep us hidden like pariahs. Women of my kind harness abilities there's metamorphosis, herbal medicine, sexual healing, aura and energy transcending. Women of my kind come in different versions that can be tall or petite, slim or thick, penis or vagina, only hormones or all surgery. Just know when you see us, we are unique, ancient, and royalty. So when you see me, you see her, you see us, the royal concubine women, the mermaid women, the transgender women, the Los Atlantean women, the Amazonian women, the African indigenous priestess women, The African indigenous priestess women, the African indigenous priestess women, they are my sisters. Women of mysticism and mystery, women of my kin and my soul ties, women of my kind, women of my kind, women of my kind. Remember, we are so divine. And that's the story. Girl, that's just cocoa butter on the heart. I just love that. I love that. Mm-mm-mm. And fun fact, I wrote that story on Mother's Day. So yeah, it's deep.
No, that was beautiful. Okay. We're gonna get back into these questions.
Let's get to it.
In what ways do you see erotic literature as a space for healing and or education?
Okay, I love this question. Let's see. Um, so to me, stories that have complexities around our sexuality and our spirituality speak to the soul of the people, I believe, you know. Um, it affirms to live our life to the fullest. And African American literature is sacred, it's diverse, it's ours, which goes all the way back to the Harlem Renaissance, which I said in the beginning. And I think erotica literature shows us how we should honor our bodies, our orgasms, and also find treasure in sexual healing in real life. It reminds us to make sure that we have some form of self pleasure or couple pleasure or fun pleasure, um, and to see life in some type of sensuality, some type of freedom and sweetness. Um, so I think erotica literature does that. And I think that it also expands African American literature a little wider than um, than just traditional stories. So yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, how do you hope that Golden Moon and your work in general, because you're definitely multifaceted, multi-talented. So how do you hope that your work all around contributes to a broader lineage of queer erotic storytelling?
Um, my prayer is always, I hope Golden Moon becomes a classic. And it's cherished in African American literature. Um, and I know I'll be performing these songs for the rest of my life for many future events. I enjoy it. And I think, I hope and I pray this work touches millions, is on that bookshelf. It's something that people's reading over and over again. And I think that my work also pushes Black queer literature to focus on the Africanness of our Black queerness, right? Adding some some African roots in our sex life, our African roots in our friendships, adding some reverence in some places, you know. So I think that separates me from everyone as well, adding that element to the comedy and the romance, right? We can have fun, we can laugh, but I think I add elements of Blackness and Africanness that should be centered and treasured, you know? So yeah.
No, that makes no, that's it for sure. And I do think that really does set your work apart because a lot of people don't really consider, you know, African identities and just African ways of thinking and being.
Yes, yes. And I also think too, I'm gonna add this point here because it just came to me. You know, I think in Black queer storytelling is way more free. It's way more fluid. There's a lot more things going on. And I think we that teaches humanity how we should be more expansive.
Hmm.
It pushes the envelope of what's traditional and what's okay, what's seen um, as vanilla sex or vanilla living, right? And so it just says, oh, these people really got things going on. They got pop it, you know. Um, and I think we set the tone for innovative things. And I think that's the storytelling as a whole. It's Black queer literature as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad you added that point because it really does like hit, you know, cis heteronormativity and all of that is very like it's so like it's just so restricting and
Yeah.
making that like what we all have to live by, it's it just really does restrict your worldview and can really put you in a box. But then you have queerness.
Come on.
And when people can use their big brains and be their big ages and not be childish in the mind and in the body and spirit, they realize that like queerness is something that like should be for all of us, you know? So I really appreciate you bringing that in.
Yeah, we gotta expand our mindsets. We gotta do it.
Yeah.
Through sex, through business, through friendships, through legalness, through finance. Expand it, go bigger. I
Yeah,
think queerness represent that.
really. Yes. Hmm. Is there a particular passage or story that you're especially proud of and why?
I'm cheesing because I love this question. It's deep. I'm gonna hold a little bit of space, take a little bit of time up. These stories are all my babies, okay? But I will say this. When I finish two stories, Treasures of the Matriarch and When Love Continues, I felt like, okay, I did my part in this life. I pushed the envelope of African American spirituality and pushed the envelope of African American literature. Um, and I really cried and I said, this is the work of all the other resources I give. I actually provide a body of work that is pushing the envelope and I think is valuable. Um, so, honey, I'm very proud of Treasure the Matriarch to the point where I want to take that particular story to do more things with it. Um, but the girls love when love continues too. So those feels like life fulfilled. Like, girl, you are an authoress. You are a writer. So yeah, yeah.
You kind of went into my next question, actually. Like, are there any worlds that you built out in this book that call you back for a sequel or companion story? You kind of answered it, but if you want to expound upon that, do
Yeah.
tell.
Yes, of course. So all these stories are not finished on purpose. As y'all saw, well, some of y'all don't know, but one of the stories very in your face that is incomplete. um, and so there is a sequel. So each one continues. And also, I'm hoping to turn one of these stories, my hope is in prayer, into a play or a movie one day. So we cooking something, and even if that none of those stories do, I'm committed to at least release a script that is rooted in Black romance, Black queer romance. Um, I want to do that before I turn 50 to give a whole entire script to some type of theater department or some type of movie director so we can bring out more Black queer romance with my touch and element. And of course, come up with something that's beautiful and brilliant with the director, whatever they come up with that I don't even think of. So I'm rooted to Black queer script writing in some form of fashion, and one of these stories becoming a visual. Um, so that's the prayer, that's the hope, and that's one of the worlds I want to continue.
I could definitely see Treasure of the Matriarch being built all the way out. All the way out.
Baby,
Okay.
okay.
That
I'm talking
water
about
scene?
island.
Ha! Can you believe?
Can
Can
you
you
believe?
believe? Yes.
And I want sounds of African, like I want the sounds of African waters. I want the sounds of oceans. I want to see different skin tones of African men and African women. I
Mm,
want to like, I'm gonna push for like a script of folks that's like Black queer to also
mm.
like bring queer elements in there. Like, girl,
Period.
I just need a green light. I just need a green light.
Period. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're coming up on our last question that I have.
Okay.
If readers walk away remembering only one thing from Golden Moon, what do you hope that one thing is?
Mm. Girl, this book got so much gems. Like, how can I do one? Um, this book is a community offering, a jambalaya of soul. So read it over and over again and make sure you pass it along to someone that you care about. And remember, 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 Black queer folks are ancient, royal, and we're connected to divinity. And I just want folks to really sit with that. We are the ones that are expanding what gender can do, what sexuality can do, what spirituality can be. We are the ones that were shamans, diviners, the people that seek us in tribes and in indigenous cultures. So I bring all of that royalty and that all that spirituality into the work. Um, and so I really want folks to sit with that, the queer divinity and the queer spirituality.
Yeah, exactly.
That part.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what so what's do folks have questions? Like, did anybody want to
Yes,
say
what are people
anything?
saying? I need
Yeah,
to hear. I need to see.
let's see what it's giving.
I have a question. Hi, Authoress. Hi,
Hey.
Gillette, hostess with the mostest. Thank y'all for the dynamic conversation. It's definitely giving glory and honor to the divine feminine and all the things. Get into it.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Authoress, I have a question for you. When you talk about said scripts, and I know you're only going to give us so much, but just a little bit of a sip or a tidbit. Could by chance one of my favorite stories, which I'm sure you know what that is,
Mm-hmm.
matriarch, could she be by chance making her way onto that list for the adaptation of said screenplay? Because I've shared this with you several times. I just gushing over it. It just is vibrant, it's colorful, it's all the things. It paints us in such a vivid and beautiful light. And I just want to see that adapt. It's giving, like fruits of paradise teas, honey. It's giving all of the things. And so I just want to just put that out there and put you on the spot and ask that question. And now I'm gonna go back.
Ooh, Dr. Leia, I love you. I love you. We'll make sure I make it. Of course. That's all I'm gonna say. Of course. And I love once again how people read that story and it resonates with the soul. I think that's one of my greatest works. It's releasing that one. That's the longest story too in the book. And that's design. That was on purpose. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's the story, honey. That's the one gonna be the one.
Okay. We got a question in the chat from
Okay.
Derek. What actors, actresses, the folks that act, would you want to be cast for a film adaptation of your favorite short story?
Oh,
Oh.
I'm big on hiring Black queer artists. Um, so when I think of the men in the categories, I think of Tevin, which is one of the characters. I think of Diwali, which is the African character. Um, I know Diwali is dark skinned. And so I think of the man from Golden Moon, not Golden Moon, oh God, Moonlight, um, Trevante Rhodes. He can play the violin. I think he has enough sex appeal. I think he's also queer friendly as a black man in real life. He's not going to do the story wrong. If I give him a black trans woman that's gorgeous, I think he would do right by her. She won't have no complaints. Um, I think Trevante Rhodes. I also think about our black gay brother. What is his name, girl? It's leaving me right now. No, don't do this. Oh my goodness. What is his name? What is his name? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna say another person who actually does black queer script writing is Samson Cormick. He's a comedian, queer comedian from San Francisco. He'd be great to play one of the gay men in the characters. And for the black women leads, I want Divinity to show me who got the tapes, who got it. And so I would consider Angelica Ross. I think she'd be perfect fit for this. The aesthetic, the soulfulness is there. Um, yeah, I think those three: Jabrante Rhodes, Angelica Ross. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Did I answer the question? I think so. Yeah, but give me recommendations. What y'all think? Let's talk. Like, who y'all think I'm missing in Hollywood? Who would do right by the girls and do right by our gay brothers and do right by our lesbian sisters? Like, who do y'all think should do the adaptation? Give me a name. Y'all can give me one name. It's okay. Listen, it's hard though because the politics be politicking. They don't be really having it for us like that.
You know who I think would be a good person to consider pitching to? His name, Lord, help me remember his last name, but he is so funny to me. He's a queer man.
Okay.
He's the producer. His name is Jordan. It's not Jordan Peele, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not him. But he was on Pose, but he's a producer. He has a play on Broadway. He was doing a play on Broadway. Lord, what is this? Hold on, I'm gonna tell you his name. He is the producer of Miss Pat's show and all of that.
Jordan.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, honey. Yes. I do know who he's talking about. He definitely helped Miss Packer her things for her show. He
So,
did write under the script for someone else. You're right.
so I think he would be a good person to pitch to because it seems like he has such an eye for telling like just real soulful stories, like the stories that come out, of Golden Moon.
And see, this is why you're a doctor of therapy.
And a consumer of fine art. Now I'm gonna go on mute.
Yes. Shaking the table. I like that. That's a good recommendation. Jordan. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lay. Yes. All right. Any more comments? I would love to talk to the people. What the people saying. Let me read these comments. Come on, New Orleans in the building. Alexandria, yes. Houston, period. Houston in the building. Oh. Ava DuVernay, period. Oh, that should be great. Yeah. Yeah, y'all. I like these choices. These are good choices. But yeah.
Okay. So if we don't have any more questions, no worries. I want to know what are your closing thoughts to the, oh, hold on, wait, we got something. We got something. So what do you think your or where do you think your characters come from when writing, like name and image?
Oh, divinity. I think something is dropped on me. I'm channeling through. I I think that I do sit and still and think about the what you call the background of the character, the skin color, the what he was born, what is their goals. And some stuff I have to just sit and meditate on and see what makes sense for the overarching theme. I have to also see what mesh, what like who should go together, um, and what's missing. Sometimes I finish a story and say, no, 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 something is missing. So I think divinity gives me those information. I think that spirit and divinity, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Derek says, tell us about the moment when you first held your hard copy.
Oh, y'all actually gonna get a video of that. Um, where was I? It came in the mail and I had a black outfit on. I'm not all black, it was all brown and gold. And I didn't even know it was gonna come on that day, but I knew it was coming that week. And I have a video, someone amazing video recorded, and y'all will see it on the anniversary, which will be in February. So look out for that. And I opened the book, I saw the cover, and I said, "Bitch, you did that cover." And I remember getting teary eyed and just jumping up like a little schoolgirl in high school, honey. I said, "She delivered. This is one of my most important works in his life." Um, So yeah, honey, I saw them come out the mailbox and everything, and I got emotional. And yeah, yeah, and that's that. Good question. Good question. Oh, you're mute.
I was talking to myself. I was like, damn, I should ask that.
That's a good
Just talking
question.
to myself, you know.
Yes, yes. Good
Okay.
great question. I feel
Okay.
fulfilled that you asked these questions. I feel connected. You know, she did great. Did great.
Almost good. Almost good. We got any other questions in the chat?
I just want to know, are we able to come off mute or are we in Zoom meeting format? Because are
Zoom
we
meeting.
having a discussion, honey? Are we talking about mixing up a gumbo, honey? What are we talking about here? What is it giving? Is the moon golden? Is it a full moon?
It's a full moon and it's golden. So that means
Okay,
people should come
period.
in and gather in. Yes, yes.
Okay,
A feast for the
period.
queens and the kings.
Yes. So y'all have talked about two of my favorite stories from the book. When Love Continues, honey, which I believe I probably shared that with you because that was one of the first stories that I finished.
Mm-hmm.
And just how ethereal it was. So I know that Treasures of a Matriarch, it's gonna forever be my favorite one. I want to make that clear. Howsoever, I love When Love Continues. And so I'm wondering, in this coming of age Love Jones tea, who would the authoress cast as her leading people?
Wow. All right, y'all. So on the spot, I think I would choose. By the way, love that question. I love that you brought up when love continues. Um, on the spot, y'all, I have to say, I think I need a black man with a little gray hair and have a little history of queerness, but a little history of straightness too. Um, I'm at the moment thinking Malik Yoba will play great. I need to put him some locks with gray in it. He'll be great for that one. He have known the love, the different types of girls. So we're gonna leave that there. I think it'd be perfect. And for my girl, Luna, oh, she has to bring it. She needs to be somewhere in her 40s or maybe late 30s. Um, no one really comes to mind, but um I think it'd be crazy. Let me say this. I think it'd be a crazy to see our girl T.S. Madison play someone that is soulful and not comedic. To see her play someone that is mourning and a widow, give her a dramatic Um, I think will bring more soul and texture to her popularity already. We already love her. So that's someone I would consider if she wanted to do it. Um, and I'm trying to say that I want to go to a cisgender woman. I think that's been done too many times. So I don't know. I need to do a casting call and see what the girls give. Who's bringing soul and who's bringing beauty that needs to be there on the page. Man, how you feel about that? You know those two.
My feeling on that is I think Malik Yoba would body any role that he gets into.
Yes.
And I believe that he has the depth to take it on. I know that there, varying opinions, but in my engagement with him, he's been like a pretty genuine person. So, and by engagement, I mean by the most appropriate of engagement. I want to make that clear with no salaciousness.
Mm-hmm.
However, I believe that he would body that role. And when you're considering who you bring into the fold in terms of an actress, I love the thought of Maddie coming in, honey, and giving us all the things because Maddie is deep. I think her
Yeah.
comedy is a part of her soulfulness, but she gives deep that Libra deepness to me that I just know that Libras just be walking around with and stuff. So I feel like she would come in there and just body.
Yeah.
But are you Libra? Okay, Derek is Libra gang, period.
Yeah, come on, Libra
Period.
gang.
So, but I feel like they would. And I have a follow-up question before we pivot off of that. I have a follow-up question, but I want to ask and I want to give other people a chance.
I'm gonna add on to that, Dr. Lay. I love Tia's Matters for that. And something is pulling on my soul to get new blood, get someone fresh, maybe in their 30s and 40s who've been doing theater but never got a movie. So they can feel like, oh my God, this is my big moment as well. So I might want something new for them to spice it up. And then another part of it too, I do want to make sure we have colors of brown and dark skin in this story. But they definitely we gotta separate light skinned sisters now. And so they will be in other stories. But I definitely think the colors of brown and dark skin will be something that we need to do that in this one. Because Vibrant has all the colors. I love that story. It has all of us. Every letter is represented, every color, every skin tone is represented in the other story, Vibrant. So yeah.
Maybe start at the origins of where we all have hailed from.
Yes.
Let's clock that.
Like that. Yes, yes. All right. Any questions? We good. We good. I see beautiful faces. Hey, Lola girl.
Hey.
Hey. All righty. I'm gonna say thank you to the folks that showed up for this. It warms my heart to see us come together for this. Y'all don't know how many no's I got, so to see these yeses feels beautiful. And more to come, baby girl. We young, so the more to come.
And that's, yeah. Thank you so much for putting out this beautiful work of art. Looking forward to the future works of art. And to that, I bid you all a good night. Good night.
Night, night. Love y'all.
Love y'all.